Welcome to Link G4x Training Part 53. In this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how we can determine if we have bad injector data programmed using our volumetric efficiency air mass check we've learned about in our last tutorial. So these two topics are going to fit hand in hand. We're going to be exploring how we can go in and actually correct bad injector data and making sure that we have our airflow model side correct when we're in our model mode. Without further wait, let's jump in so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at how we can determine where our air lies in our fuel and airflow modeling relationship. Now, in the last tutorial, we went over how to determine if we had valid volumetric efficiency values programmed in our main fuel table. So if we jump in here to our fuel tab, we discuss the percentage of cylinder filling values known as volumetric efficiency. Now, if we have our values represented too high or too low, there's a way that we can check this work using a channel called air per cylinder estimated. Now, the values in here are in grams per cylinder. We ran a conversion through a calculator we have here that converts it into grams per second. That allows you to determine if you have a reasonable volumetric efficiency value in your table or not. So essentially provides a way we can check our work when we're dialing things in the model fuel equation mode. Now, if you're not using the model fuel equation mode, you're in traditional, none of what I've taught in that last tutorial will really apply to you, and what we're going to be learning in this tutorial isn't going to be really applicable to a traditional mode. This is really going to be strictly looking at our model fuel strategy, which is volumetric efficiency style tuning, which is my preferred way to dial in and work with our G4x systems. So, when we were looking in our last tutorial, we know that we have a way we can determine if that airflow or air mass is accurate or not. Now, at idle conditions here, as we're taking a look in our main VE table, the engine is running here at about 1,000 RPM, map pressure showing here about 30-40 kPa. We see engine coolant temperature here is about 200, and the intake air temp is showing about 60 degrees. We're finding that our air per cylinder estimated value in grams per cylinder in this specific case is pretty accurate. At idle conditions, idling on a 4-cylinder engine, roughly 900 to 1,000 RPMs, we should be pulling about 4.5 to 5 grams per second worth of airflow into the engine. Now, that's regardless of any 4-cylinder engine that you're tuning. That's approximately what you should find as a proper air mass value that would represent the air mass coming into the engine. Now, whether we estimate that amount of air mass coming into the engine through a volumetric efficiency speed density style strategy that we find in the G4x, or if we directly measure that amount of air mass using a mass airflow sensor, we should come up about the same approximate values. And we want to be accurate with these VE values as we discussed in the last video so that we have accurate math modeling going on and we find that we're tracking to about where we should. So the air per cylinder estimated gives us a way to check our work to make sense of what's going on in the math modeling and essentially providing a sanity check on what's going on here. So we know in this situation that everything is lining up here on the simulator so that we are where we should be. So meaning the VE values as the engine is running here, that we are finding that everything is lining up to where it should be. We're flowing about 4.5-5 grams per second into the engine based on our engine speed and based on other conditions that we're programming here. Now, this tells me that our underlying fuel and airflow modeling equation, fuel mass is equal to air mass divided by target air fuel. This means that the air mass value that we're using in that equation to ultimately deliver an injector pulse width that we're finding down here, so the injection actual pulse width, that value that's calculated, that's coming from that fuel and airflow modeling equation. So we're representing the air mass that's coming in from the channel air per cylinder estimated. That's going to be reasonable, going to be accurate. We have our target lambda table specifying the target air fuel. If we take our air per cylinder estimated and we divide it by our target lambda target air fuel, that gives us a fuel mass. The fuel mass is then converted into an injector pulse width based on knowing our injector flow, which we program right here. If we go to basics, we find right down here under injector setup, injector flow at rated pressure. We've represented these injectors being 1,000 cc per minute. Now, this injector flow is responsible for converting that fuel mass into what's known as our base pulse width. If we actually take a look right here, that's known as our injection effective pulse width in the Link G4x system here. So the conversion from our fuel mass request into an injector pulse width, this is where it starts from. Then we have our injection dead time or latency value added onto our injection effective pulse width. This corrects for the opening and closing characteristics of the solenoid windings in the actual injector that we're dealing with. The injection dead times are coming from our dead time table down here. We've talked about what the actual injector data represents from previous training modules, but this is just a refresher as to what's going on here. So we're finding that the dead times characterize how the injectors open and close, and it makes sure that we're going in and accounting for the individual characteristics of the injector sets that you're dealing with. So the injector dead time values come from an injector data sheet from a injector manufacturer, and in this case we have values programmed in here. So
thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.